fine. Um, okay, so um, yeah, I get that. Like, I guess Ziho didn't wasn't answering or whatever.
No, he texted me while I was downstairs and told me he wasn't feeling well, that he wants to postpone to tomorrow. My assumptions are that he either Bear said this too, that he either went to go eat dinner and hang out with the wife, and they probably got drunk,
Okay.
and he doesn't feel like dealing with it with that type of mental mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Because he said he
that's
was feeling sick, so I don't know if that's he's drunk or because he left me a message and left.
sure. Okay. So, um, I mean, hopefully we'll get to talk to him, right? Um, I guess I'm trying to understand like where your mindset is, and
So my mindset is pretty straight and simple.
right.
At this point, let me word this correctly
Hmm.
because I know you're a stickler for this.
Sure.
At this point, my loyalty to Ed is more important than whatever in this game. And while I do feel like I am responsible and do owe you guys some loyalty, I don't feel like it's at the same level that it is for my for Edward, right?
Sure.
And the game being what it is, there was a an agreement that never was renegotiated.
Which is about his Thunder Fury, I'm assuming.
So in order to fairly split things, I want so for me, I could steal the guild bank right now, PT. It
Sure.
wouldn't make a difference.
Okay.
I could give Edward his Thunder Fury, split the flask between the two tanks, and discuss the leftovers. That's kind of where I'm sitting at, right? Like, I just want to make things fairly.
Right. Okay. So,
Not that I believe. So, like, I know the crowd that believes that the guild's contents is the guild's contents, and I
right.
understand where that aspect of it is.
Okay.
That's not what we're discussing. We're discussing what's actually going on. It's either whether we're splitting or we're keeping.
Okay.
Now,
So you guys basically are taking the stance that you have control of the guild bank. You don't really care whether
John
it's
had so
well.
the
I
stance, in my opinion, is the agreement that we had made at the beginning was a split of power, and
right.
Eon has officially removed all of us from power.
Well,
You,
so
me,
so
X Zero.
no. Eon didn't remove anybody, right? What ended up happening was the guild essentially moved to remove everybody. Like the officers who were left agreed to give Eon the power.
Right. It was
So
his decision to exclude one of ours from leadership.
well, Ziho was still involved with everything. Like even though he wasn't considered officer, he still had
Right.
essentially all the powers of officer. He
Right.
was
Which
in
is
every
why
single meeting.
this conversation has to go between him and Eon. You
Well,
feel
so
me?
I understand where you're coming from, right? Like I'm just trying to like lay down basically a groundwork so I can understand like where you guys are at, right? Because I think it'll make the conversation easier.
Well,
So
to lay out where I'm at, Edward is a magical 8 ball. You're gonna have to roll that bitch around and look at what I don't know. I can't tell you what he's gonna do. I can tell you where I'm at.
right. I mean, okay. So I understand that you're at a point where you're saying like the options are we keep it or we split it 50-50, right? I guess I'm trying to understand the rationale for the 50-50, essentially, right? Like so I'll level with you, right? If you
The rationale for the 50-50 is
yes.
basically not to be a douchebag to the people that I like that I'm leaving there.
Okay, so
If not, I just take the whole fucking thing,
right. So
right?
you don't so you really just don't care about it like being the wrong thing to do or
Correct. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
Correct.
All right.
My
Um
moral compass is whatever. My moral compass is more so on Edward because at this point, that's the only person that in the situation I'm left caring about. Because moving forward, he's the one I'm working with, right?
sure.
It's a fucked mentality. I agree with you, but
Well,
again,
okay, so we both agree that like it's kind of fucked up, right? Like you're
yeah,
accepting
for
you're
sure,
accepting the fact that like the decision you're making and the stance you're taking is like totally fucked up, right?
sure, yes, yes, for sure.
Okay. All right.
But I'm not trying. So the 50-50 is a fucked up stance, but it's not as bad as just scamming and taking the fucking guild bank, right?
Right. I mean, they're both bad, right? Like we
They're
both.
both. I mean, okay, let's be honest. Splitting it's not that bad.
Well,
I shouldn't
okay.
officially
Then
do
let me
50-50.
rephrase. Like
Right.
I understand. Like and right,
I mean,
we
'cause if
can.
they're gonna make it seem like both are bad, I might as well just keep the whole thing. You
Well,
feel
I
me?
mean, okay. So let me put it this way: they're both wrong.
Right.
Okay, we can both agree that they're both wrong, right? Sure, the 50-50 is like that's better, right? We're in a position where we don't have leverage. We're in a position where we have essentially no control over the situation, right? And
Right. Exactly.
all we have is like the hope that like you would end up doing the right thing. If you've made the decision that you're not going to, right? And leave no ground for
I wouldn't be
negotiation on
wasting
that.
your time.
What?
I said I wouldn't be wasting your time.
Right. So what I'm saying is like
Okay.
if that's kind of like where we're at, then that would be the only option to go with, and that's pretty much it, right?
I mean, 'cause
Um,
I heard from Eon, you just want to be done with it. I'm with you too. Like,
well,
I don't give
yeah,
a
like
fuck about the drama.
that's the thing is like we're all we're all like in a situation where we just kind of want to like just figure out what the situation is and get it done, right? And if we're at that point in the discussion where the options are like, okay, either we split it or we take everything, right? Then obviously we're gonna take half of it, right? Like
You're gonna take
again.
what you can get at this point, right? Like, you know,
So right. So then the next step of the
I'm trying
question.
to work towards a more favorable outcome, right?
Sure. So then the next step of the conversation really, right, falls to like, are you saying that like you understand the situation and you don't want to fuck over your friends that are there, right? And you want to, you know, diminish that bad blood. Are you saying that in the end what you're going to do is give us 50-50 if that's what we accept, or are you saying I'm going to wait and see if you can convince Edward
Yes,
of the
that's
50-50?
that one. That
So
one.
we have to convince Ziho to accept 50-50, otherwise you're going to take everything. Is that's just for clarity?
But you're making that real black and white, and I
Well,
don't want to answer that question because then you're kind of like tying me to that, and then the conversation's already over, right?
no, I mean that kind of where the question stands,
I
right?
mean, sort
Because
of, but no, because if that was the case, I wouldn't have given Eon anything prior to raid, right? Like, I,
well, okay, yeah, sure, that's fair, but
I'm not looking to be a bad guy here.
right,
Just acting on how other people act.
okay, yeah, I guess to put my question a different way, right, would be, um, if we came can could we come to an agreement now to say, look, let's not let them have their conversation tomorrow, Eon and Ziho. Hopefully they can squash their stuff. Hopefully they can work it out. But and he's not here anymore, right? It's just the two of us.
Yeah, it's a deal with us.
Okay, right. Like essentially have an understanding that like we'll just go with the 50-50. Both of us can just be done with it. They can squash their beef tomorrow, and then when that
So,
happens, we can just move forward.
so while that's a very smart play, PT,
Right.
you know what that does to everything else, right?
Well, no, I don't.
It ruins whatever leverage Edward has in the conversation.
Well, I mean,
I mean,
what?
I'm just assuming, right?
Well,
Like,
okay. Well, what? But I guess my question then is like, what are we looking for Edward to leverage, right? Because we have a stance, right, that is the guild bank should stay with the guild, right? And you guys have another stance, right? And we're talking about two situations that can happen. So there's really no leverage that he even needs in the conversation, right? Like the idea I think between my understanding of the conversation for Ziho and
so
Eon tomorrow is to kind
so
of like
PT,
squash beef.
if there is no guild bank,
Sure.
there would be no conversation.
Right. Correct.
So that's where I'm at personally.
Oh, so
If there wasn't a guild bank here,
right.
there would have been no conversation, period.
Between Eon and Ziho is what you're saying.
Correct.
Right. So okay. So that right. So what are we trying to get out of the conversation between Eon and Ziho then?
That's a great question.
Right. Like why is that? Like why is that happening for like? Is there another reason that it's happening besides the guild bank?
See, I can't really talk for him because I don't know.
Right, sure. So what I'm saying
I
is,
don't know. It's a good question. I don't
right,
know. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, if there is another reason, right? Like they are still going to talk, they are still going to have their
Real.
conversation.
I mean,
Yeah, like,
so let me ask you this,
yeah,
okay?
sure, yeah.
What's your perception of them talking since the moment he's G quit?
What do you mean? What does it seem like that? The perception that I get is that both of them kind of are shying away from talking to each other, right? I mean,
So here
I've
we go.
seen.
Here we go. Here's the question to ask you.
Okay,
If say I have spent 8 to 9 hours with you talking this over, right?
yeah,
Let's say we're on hour 10 now, PT.
okay,
I keep repeating the same phrase. You need to talk to Edward.
right.
Don't you think there would be more than just 1 or 2 PMs in the last 5 days towards Edward?
Yes, yeah. I think that he definitely could have been more proactive in getting into a conversation with Ziho for
So
sure.
now they're at least texting back and forth.
Right.
So maybe that can start. I, I don't know, dude. Like Eon kind of just to me it looks like he's scared, and I don't understand. Like there the only so from exactly unless he has something to be scared of
Okay.
from here from my perspective, you only gain from talking to Ziho. Not talking to Ziho, you lose. You don't get anything. The guild bank's gone, right?
Okay. So what I'm
So like,
discussing.
hello?
I'm back, dude.
All right. I mean, we can just go to a different Discord. Like if
I
it's.
like KLD though. What's your
I
problem?
I really don't though. So.
Because you're a nigger.
Whoa,
Okay.
that's not okay, bro. Come on.
Alright, have fun, guys.
Bye. I apologize. I don't know him that
Um.
well.
It's. I mean, it's whatever. Like it's KLD. Like he's an
Okay,
absolute
I didn't know you
douchebag.
guys had that bad of blood. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It's. What are you gonna do? Some people are just like that. It's unfortunate for them to be like that, but I'm not gonna let it bother me. So basically, we're in a situation, right, where there are two things. There's what happens with the guild bank and what happens in the conversation between Eon and Zio, right? And they're obviously linked together. What I'm suggesting is uh, kind of separating them, right? So that it's not this
I guess
constant
I
pressing
disagree,
issue.
PT. That takes all the fun out of it.
Well, what do you mean take? See, this is what I'm trying to understand, right? Like, if you feel like you want to make sure you don't fuck over your friends that are still in the guild, right? And you
So
understand,
okay, so let me start with this, PT.
yes,
The day I left, I felt terrible. Okay,
right, yeah,
terrible.
mm-hmm,
And as the days have gone by, like Edward told me, just wait, give it a week, see
yeah,
where you're at next Tuesday, and we'll all talk.
okay,
Every single day, okay,
yeah,
I've further, I've moved further from the stance that I wanted to split,
okay,
just because of the actions that I've seen. The like scumminess. Not you. You've been the only person, PT. You came at me straight. You gave me a long paragraph.
yeah,
You've been the only person. Even Trogdor has been scummy about it.
okay,
Coming,
yeah,
looking for info, running it back to Eon. Eon being stupid enough to relay it to me. Like, what is
yeah,
Eon doing?
yeah. I mean, I don't really know what's going on with that. Why people
So,
are just
like I said, at this point, like I'm like slowly drifting away from the like trying to be a nice guy here because like even the people I liked like X0 were turned against me instantly. Neode as well. It's like the longer it went, like it's like Edward's a genius. Like all he said to me at first was like, "Yo, just give them a week, let them panic, let them stress out, and we'll have a conversation after they raid, whether they fail or not." Sure, if they fail, we're obviously not going to give a guild bank to a failed guild, right?
right,
But well, so I mean, and then every single day it's just gone. It's like downhill and downhill, and Eon doesn't even want to talk to Edward. Like no attempts. Like Eon's on like the silent treatment, and it's like all I've
right,
told Eon is, look, if you deal with Edward and you get that branch, that olive branch fixed,
sure,
This will be
So
super easy.
so can I